Name vidu suradhanah prabhavang namaharshayah hamadir hi devanam maharshi nam chasarvashaha. The translations. Here is mentioned the demigods. They are personalities far greater than we can imagine. Their opulence, intelligence, power, and all such qualities are far greater than persons on this planet. They have mystic powers. For the demigods, it's an ordinary thing that they can take different forms at their will and travel in space. So they are in all ways superior to persons of this planet. And many descriptions of prominent demigods are given in the Puranas especially, and in the Vedas also. So that people on this planet, when they hear about this, they feel very respectful towards the demigods. We may wonder if all the, as Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vedesha sarvaraham eva vedyaha, all the Vedas are meant for understanding me. And we may wonder why there's so much description of the demigods in the Vedic literature. Well, here's one reason, that after developing respect for the demigods, when we hear that they also worship Krishna, then we shall understand how much we have to respect Krishna. It's very difficult to understand Krishna. That is stated by Lord Krishna in this shloka. When we understand that it's difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna, then we can begin to understand how difficult it is to understand Krishna. The level of intelligence of the demigods is almost impossible for us to understand. But then if we understand that they, even with such intelligence, cannot begin to understand Krishna, then we can begin to understand how superlatively great is Krishna. Here I mentioned the demigods and the Maharsis, the great rishis. These are residents of the higher planets. Beyond the planets which are of the demigods are the planets of the great Maharsis. That Mahaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, these are the planets. These are the planetary systems wherein the greatly, highly perfected persons, they stay and perform tapasya and meditate. Janaloka, this one. These are persons far above even the level of the demigods. The rishis or the maharshis, they are considered greater than the demigods. Now the demigods are considered greater than us. Why? They have more opportunities for sense enjoyment. And the Maharshis are considered greater than the demigods. Because even though by their punya they can enjoy like the demigods, they have to a large extent conquered their minds and senses and have no desire to enjoy in the same manner as the demigods. So they're in a different category altogether above the demigods. They are on the verge of liberation from this material world, but they also cannot understand Krishna. Why is that? Well, that is stated by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Previous to this, he stated to Arjuna that Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hietad uttamam. I'm explaining this topmost mystery, Bhagavad Gita, to you, this Raja Vidya, this topmost of knowledge, because you are my devotee, my very intimate friend. Otherwise, Arjuna should become disappointed. That, if such great personalities cannot understand you, Krishna, then how can I understand you, Krishna? Because Arjuna is a person, he's a man of this world. Apparently. It seems like that. He is praised as the son of Indra, as he who fought with Lord Shiva, and in this way he is lauded in human society. But actually he is much greater than Indra and Shiva, because he's an intimate associate of the Supreme Lord. It is Indra's great fortune to be associated with Arjuna. And even though Lord Shiva is such a great devotee that from our perspective it appears Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, he is the greatest Vaishnava. He has such a great responsibility to oversee all the most difficult fallen personalities in the universe. He is intimately involved as a service to Lord Vishnu in the creation, maintenance and destruction of the material cosmos. But he can't lie on the bed with Krishna as Arjuna does and make somewhat insulting statements to him. Hey Yadava, Arjuna said to Krishna. Hey, you're just a Yadava, we're Pandavas. We're better than you. So, many people, they consider the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to be the best, because the opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifest. But for Arjuna, this was the low point of the Bhagavad Gita, because his relationship with Krishna is one of intimate friendship. But when he saw the Vishvarupam, he thought, oh, Krishna is very great. His friendship became compromised by understanding Krishna's greatness. His mood of friendship became compromised by understanding Krishna's greatness, by having some understanding of Krishna's greatness. So this is the conundrum. You don't know what that means. Conundrum means it's like a riddle. It's something very difficult to solve. Puzzle. That Krishna, he's speaking the Bhagavad Gita so that we can understand him. But he states that even the great demigods and Maharsis, they cannot understand him. They cannot understand him because they're trying to understand his greatness, his opulence. But that's beyond the scope of our understanding. We don't have the capacity to understand how great is Krishna. If we studied one atom for our whole lives by various scientific methods, we couldn't come to the end of studying it. And there are unlimited atoms even within our body, what to speak of the whole universe. And it's all namatejamsa sambhavam. It's all brought into being by just a tiny spark of Krishna's greatness. So the attempt to understand Krishna's greatness is doomed from the beginning. We are too small to understand how great is Krishna. But at the same time, we should try to whatever extent we can, understand how great is Krishna. But on the other hand, Krishna himself is not so much concerned that we understand how great he is. It is a materialistic conception that we judge everyone in terms of how much money and power and beauty and opulence that they have. So we tend to take this mentality, we tend to carry this mentality even when we attempt to come into spiritual life. We'll see, this sadhu has so many followers, must be good. Because we don't understand how to judge the quality, therefore we think quantity is most important. When we hear that Lord Ram worshipped Lord Shiva, we think then Shiva must be superior, because we don't understand the concept of bhakti, by which the Supreme Lord, who is worshipable by everyone, he also likes to worship his devotees. When we hear that Krishna is dancing with so many gopis, we think, he is not as moral as Ram. We try to bring our materialistic intelligence to understand he who is beyond materialistic intelligence. When we hear of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we think, a great devotee, but we cannot understand how he is Krishna. We cannot believe that he is the Supreme Lord, because the Supreme Lord is most opulent. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi with just a kamandalu. He doesn't even have a stick. His stick got broken. So you think, well, how can this be God? He should be Vaikunthanatha. So this kind of intelligence that we try to measure, see how big He is, this is not sufficient to understand the Supreme Lord. In Mayapur, at the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir, there are very big deities of Radha, Madhava and the Panchatattva and the 8 principal gopis. In South India also there are so many big deities. So people are very impressed when they see these big deities. Previous to the big deities being installed, there were small deities of Radha, Madhava and the Panchatattva, who are not any less than the big deities. They are the Supreme Lord also. But people think big deities are very important. People will, they'll go such a long way for darshan of Balaji or Srinivas at Tirupati. And there are so many Vishnu Perumal coils in their own vicinity which they don't go to. It's the same Vishnu, Bhagavan. But they're thinking that one is very important. I should go there. It's a material judgment. That is some kind of, anyway, that's some kind of beginning. Somehow or other, if we have some kind of faith in Vishnu, then we can begin our bhakti. But Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna to give him that kind of faith by which he could go beyond the materialistic conception. Of course, Arjuna is already beyond that materialistic conception, but as a drama, he took the role of a bewildered soul to benefit us so that we could in future hear Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna was bewildered. Krishna could have told him, well, just go to the temple and say a prayer. But he didn't. He explained transcendental knowledge to him, by which he could understand what is the relationship of the jiva to Bhagavan. The jiva is always subordinate and Bhagavan is always predominant. The jiva's duty is always to serve Bhagavan, and Bhagavan gives shelter to such surrendered jivas. So this acceptance of one's position as a subordinate, the jiva in the conditioned state will begin to accept that position when he understands that how great is the Supreme Lord. But he doesn't know that the real greatness of the Supreme Lord doesn't lie in His controlling power, but in His loving. That He has the ability to control everything, but that He voluntarily comes under the control of the love of His devotees. This is His greatest glory. So Krishna says that I cannot be understood, my greatness cannot be understood. We need to understand how great is Krishna, at least to some extent. We cannot fully understand. But at the same time, we should understand that Krishna Himself is not so much concerned that we understand His greatness as that we understand His love and enter into a loving relationship with Him. So this is the basis of what we might call ordinary Vaishnavism. Vaishnavism is never ordinary, it is always extraordinary, because Vishnu is never ordinary. But when I say ordinary Vaishnavism, we were referring to devotees. They take great pleasure in hearing how great is the Supreme Lord and how He reciprocates in love with His devotees. Vaishnavism, how do you say that? How He showed His greatness to Bali Maharaj by taking one step which covered one half of the universe, another step which covered the next half of the universe, and then He was fully satisfied to put the third step on the head of Bali Maharaj. That this head of yours, which is tiny in comparison to the universe, is more valuable to me than the whole universe. because you are my surrendered devotee. I've taken the whole universe away from you, and you may think that you're the loser, but now I'm giving myself to you, so you actually have the whole universe plus me. How Bhagavan Nrsimhadev came to protect his devotee, Prahlad, to protect the word of his devotee, because Prahlad said, yes, he's in this pillar, so he had to be in the pillar. He was so angry that the demigods could not pacify him, even after killing Hiranyakashipu. Because the demigods, they were not fully surrendered as Prahlad was. They also had a bit of the Hiranyakashipu mood in them themselves. We shall enjoy the universe. That they were very happy that Hiranyakashipu is now killed, so that he took over our throne, and we can take it back and go on enjoying life as previously. But Nrsimhadev, in front of all the demigods, asked Prahlad Maharaj, what do you want from me? So Indra might have got afraid that, oh no, what if he asks for my position? Because that's what anyone else would do. Then we'll be back to square one. We got rid of Hiranyakashipu, but then Prahlad's on the throne, and we can't get rid of him because he's so dear to the Lord. Then what are we going to do? Indra's worried. But Prahlad chastised Nrsimhadev. Why are you offering me all these things? I just want to serve you, that's all. If you really want to live up to your name, Varadar Shabha, Varadaraja, the best giver of benedictions, then you please remove all material desires from my heart. Anyone who prays like that means they actually don't have any material desires in their heart. So like this, we can see all the leelas of the Lord. How wonderful is His love for His devotees. We take great pleasure in hearing how the Vaikuntha Nath, he quickly came rushing from Vaikuntha to deliver his devotee who is in the form of an elephant. That he's there in Vaikuntha and everyone's worshipping him and everything's very nice, but I have to run, no time. Personally came. He could have just said, hey, Shiva, Brahma, could you do something about that crocodile down there? But no, he personally came because his devotee is calling him. So in ordinary Vaishnavism, these narrations are wonderful. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has directed us to a level of Vaishnavism even beyond this. In what we may call ordinary Vaishnavism, the devotees, they take great pleasure in seeing how wonderful is the love of the Lord, that He is so great, but He makes Himself available to His devotees. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us entrance into Vrindavan, where the devotees, they simply love Krishna, and they don't even know that He's very great. They just love Him. They don't even know why. They're so much in love with Him that they don't stop to think why, or they don't have any philosophical reasoning for it. So this is a very natural love. Just like the mother doesn't think why she loves her child. Even to ask her why would seem like a stupid question. Of course, in this material world, even the love between mother and child, that cannot be fully pure. But the love of the Vrajvasis for Krishna, that is spotless. So what is hinted at in the narration of the different avatars is fully manifest in Vraja Bhakti, the love of the devotees of Vrindavan. This cannot be understood by any method except that of following in the footsteps of the great devotees of Vrindavan. Even to come to that platform, that requires great good fortune. It is not possible even by many thousands of years of yoga practice or becoming a great scientist or a Vedic scholar. If one has the good fortune to come in contact with the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he can begin to enter into these mysteries. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At one level, we can say it's very easy and it's available to all. Not everyone can chant the Vedic mantras, but everyone can chant Hare Krishna. But on another level, it takes us even beyond the platform of the chanters of the Vedic mantras to the level of love of Krishna, in which the devotee loves Krishna so much that he doesn't even consider his greatness, he just loves Krishna. Now this is not something which is very easily achieved. One has to give up all material desires. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, just chant Hare Krishna and you will get all perfection. There's just one condition, we have to give up all material desires. But that condition, that seems almost impossible, because even great demigods and Maharsis, they may find it difficult to give up material desires. But by the power and mercy of the holy name, we can also give up material desires and then become qualified to actually chant the holy name. And this is the great mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as a sannyasi, even though he is Vaikuntha-nath. But he takes the role of a sannyasi to show the people of the world that there is nothing to enjoy in this world, but we should give up all prospects of material enjoyment and simply dedicate our existence to loving Krishna. So we may ask, well, what's this verse in Bhagavad Gita got to do with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The answer is everything. Every verse in Bhagavad Gita is meant for understanding the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in fact, without the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can't properly understand even one syllable in Bhagavad Gita. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings begin at the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna concludes his teaching in Bhagavad Gita by saying, Savadhaman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings begin actually just a bit above this, because he said this is not up to the proper standard. He accepted the next level, that we should, giving up all endeavors to understand Krishna through our tiny brains, we should simply hear about him from self-realized souls and dedicate our lives in this way. This, you surrender to me, then I'll give you shelter. This is some kind of bargain that Krishna is offering. That you do this and I'll do this. So that may appeal to persons who are still thinking, what can I get from him? But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings are on the platform of pure love, when we only think, how can I give myself more and more to Krishna without getting anything from him? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that even for a Vaishnava to desire mukti, that is also not the topmost level. You may think, well, I will get mukti and I will go to Vaikuntha and I will serve the Lord. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches that we shall not demand that we shall serve and he shall dispense our reward as he sees fit. So this is how Krishna wants to be understood. He doesn't so much want to be understood as Vaikuntha-natha. He wants to be understood as Parthasarathi, the servant of his devotee. As Nanda-nandana, he who is carrying the shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head. As Gopi-janna Vallabha, who is chastised by the gopis. This is beyond the imagination of the great demigods and Maharsis who are offering prayers to him. So let us all chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Is there any question about this?
necessary for devotees who are coming in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line that actually...
You want to say it in the mic?
Is it necessary for devotees who are coming in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's line to first get this knowledge of opulence of the Lord to start practicing bhakti? Because we heard that, there's sadhana bhakti and ragananda bhakti, but we heard theoretically that one can practice from ragananda itself.
If one's feelings for Krishna are immediately awakened, then there's no need to understand or to go through that understanding of the Lord's opulence. But where is that person? Where is that person who simply upon hearing about Krishna becomes so much attracted that their rag or their attachment for the material world becomes diminished? Where is that person who simply upon hearing about Krishna becomes so much attached to Krishna that they forget all their material attachments? And even if one is so much advanced, then following the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should understand there's an internal aspect to Vaishnavism and an external aspect. That in preaching Krishna consciousness, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also quoting Bhagavad Gita, Aparayam etastvanyam, for instance. And even we find among the gopis of Vrindavan, they're also discussing different leelas of the Lord, Ram Leela, Vamana Leela, which enriches their appreciation of Krishna. So we should know what is our goal and proceed along the path given by our acharyas for attaining that goal. Distributing Srila Prabhupada's books is for those who are cultivating that mood of selflessness in doing so, that it can be understood to be Raga Anuga Bhakti. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave the logo of the Gauriya Mat. On one side is Rag and the other side is Vidhi. One side is Rag, which means pure attachment for the Lord, which leads to Golok Vrindavan. The other side is Vidhi, which is following the rules and regulations, Pancharatric system, which leads to Vaikuntha. So on the side of Vidhi and Pancharatra, there's Lakshmi Narayan and Puja paraphernalia. On the side of Rag, there's Bhagavat Shastra, there's the Bhagavat Marga, Kartal, Mridanga and printing press. It's getting a little beyond the scope of this class. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.